What's up, guys? All right, I am Dr. Chris Park, a family physician and addiction doctor, and we're talking about Suboxone, okay? Specifically, we're going to be talking about the Suboxone induction. So the induction is when you start Suboxone. Now, this is a disclaimer. What I'm about to tell you is not medical advice for you. Everyone is different. And please, get inducted by a doctor in their office, okay? Don't take it from Joe Bob down the street, all right? You don't know what he's giving you. It's just not safe. You don't know what your blood pressure is. You don't know, you just don't know where you're at, guys. So get into a doctor's office. I know you've probably had trouble with doctors before. Maybe you don't trust them. Maybe you're going to say you can't afford it, whatever. Listen, go see a doctor and get inducted the right way and get the help you need, okay? So that's my disclaimer. Now, there's three main things you want to consider if you're having trouble with the induction. And you say, well, why would anyone have trouble? So sometimes if you start Suboxone, it can actually make you feel worse initially. And I get this a lot of time. People come to me saying, well, I tried it, and it just didn't work, or I had horrible headaches, or I got so nauseated. And it's almost always someone who we're taken off the street, okay? And the problem is if you take Suboxone, okay, and you've got opiates in your system, you can have precipitated withdrawal, okay? So that means you're forced into withdrawal, all right? And that's not what you want, right? The whole reason you're taking it is probably because the withdrawal symptoms are so severe, you just can't seem to get through it by yourself, and so you're looking for help. All right, so you don't want that. But the answer to that is giving yourself more time, because when you start Suboxone, you should be in withdrawal already. Now, 24 hours is kind of a general guideline or rule that we follow. 24 hours since your last opiate, since your last pill or heroin. Now, if it's methadone, we're going to say typically 48 hours, maybe 72 hours. But let's say it was just hydrocodone you were taking. And at 24 hours, you're in withdrawal. You're having runny nose, you're having restless legs, body aches, diarrhea, you're irritable, etc., right? You start Suboxone, you feel horrible. Well, it may be that you needed more time. So even something like a short-acting opiate, you may need longer in withdrawal. Okay, but at least step number two, so maybe you can't last any longer in withdrawal. Maybe 24 hours is like you have zero willpower right now, and you're lucky to be able to make it 24 hours. So what you might need is, well, almost everyone needs to do this anyway when starting and inducting, is microdose. So you take a very small amount. This may be 1 milligram, 2 milligrams, 0.5 milligrams, whatever. Take a small amount, and then you wait. Okay, you see what happens over the next hour, the next 2 hours. How much benefit did you get? Do you feel worse? If you're feeling worse immediately after, you need to wait a little while longer, right? But after that dose, then you can take it in a couple hours. Maybe you take another microdose. If you're still having withdrawal, but you don't feel necessarily worse, maybe you felt a little better, and then it seemed to wear off. And so you can kind of microdose it every few hours and figure out your total 24-hour needs. Okay? And I do this with a lot of my patients. So then I'll have them, we'll induct them in the office. We'll make sure they're safe. We'll let them go home. We'll kind of tell them what to do. And then they come back and they say, okay, well, you know what? I only needed 8 milligrams for about 24 hours. Or they may say, look, yeah, my withdrawal is controlled with 8 milligrams, but I'm thinking about using every day. In that case, I may bump up their dose. Okay? So, there's a lot going on when we're trying to decide the doses of medication. Now, a patient may say, hey, I can get by on 4 milligrams a day or 2 milligrams a day. That's good because you want to get by on the least effective dose as possible. That's just going to be better for you all around, long run. Okay? So, that was 2. So we said, you want to be in withdrawal when you start, and you may have to push that out further. And the next is the kind of the microdosing of the induction to figure out exactly what your dose is. And once you figure that out, you don't have to take once you figure that out and you're past that induction phase, and you're not having any kind of precipitated withdrawal, etc., you don't have to split your dose up throughout the day. You can just divide it into 2 doses a day, or even 1 dose a day if you want. Okay, so the third step is, or the third issue that some people have. So, like, if you're still having precipitated withdrawal, every time you start Suboxone, you feel horrible. Well, you may need Subutex instead of Suboxone, or just straight buprenorphine, in other words. Suboxone being 2 medications, 1 being a blocker. But the blocker in Suboxone actually helps to curb cravings as well. So it is a good medicine. It's not just in there to keep you from shooting it up, okay? It's doing more than just that. So I prefer Suboxone, but if you just cannot, then you may need Subutex. Okay, it's going to be, because it just has buprenorphine in it, so it's not going to have the severity of the precipitated withdrawal that Suboxone would. Now, it still could have some, so you still have to apply all the general guidelines and rules, but it may be more effective for you than Suboxone. Now, that being said, there is Subutex. Some people just don't like it. Some doctors won't prescribe it at all. Some pharmacies won't fill it. I disagree with that mentality, but I understand where they're coming from, right? Because there is some misuse of it, and you always get nervous prescribing something to an addict who could misuse it. But look, I don't know. It works well for people, and if people are generally trying to get help, it works well. I don't understand keeping a medication that could be life-saving away from somebody, but hey, that's just me. So I'm just warning you that, because if you go to the doctor and say, hey, I watched this video and the doctor said I need to take Subutex, not Suboxone, well, I'm sorry, that doctor is going to think you're up to something. So don't do that. But if your doctor is, knowledgeable and caring, they're going to kind of weigh all the options and discuss it. Now, I've had people sometimes come to me who had trouble, but it was because they were taking it off the street, and I just don't trust what happened there, so I may try Suboxone again, okay? And I may even push them to give it a good trial, okay, before we just change over to something else. So everything just has to be kind of weighed out, pros and cons. And that's why I keep telling you guys that, look, these videos are not advice for you, because everybody's different, man. Everybody's got different needs, different backgrounds, different stories, and that just takes more than just watching some weird dude on a YouTube video telling you what to do, okay? So please, get a doctor, find a good one. They're out there, I promise. And, live happy, live healthy, live clean, guys.